Alright, let's dive into a story that's both fascinating and a bit bittersweet, the life of Don Knotts, the legendary comedian, and the impact his career had on his family, particularly his daughter, Karen. Now, if you're like me, you probably grew up watching Don Knotts as Deputy Barney Fife on the Andy Griffith Show. He was hilarious, iconic, and seemingly everywhere in the 60s. But here's the thing, what many people don't realize is that behind that larger-than-life persona was a father who, by his own daughter's account, was often absent during her childhood. And that's where this story gets really interesting. Personally, I think there's a misconception that fame and family always go hand in hand. We assume that celebrities have it all figured out, right? But Karen Knotts' recent revelations paint a different picture. She recalls her father working 10 to 12 hours a day on the set of the Andy Griffith Show. And even when he was home, he was holed up in his room, perfecting his lines. If you take a step back and think about it, this wasn't just a job for Don, it was an all-consuming passion that demanded every ounce of his energy. What this really suggests is that the price of fame isn't just paid by the star, it's often shared by the people closest to them. Now, let's talk about Don's decision to leave the Andy Griffith Show after 5 seasons. A lot of fans were shocked, but Karen defends her father's choice, and I have to say, her perspective makes a lot of sense. She points out the sheer intensity of the role, the energy, the perfectionism, the pressure. Imagine pouring your soul into a character for years, only to be offered a chance to step into the spotlight on your own terms. From my perspective, it's not just about the money or the fame, it's about creative freedom and the desire to evolve. What many people don't realize is that Don's decision wasn't just a career move, it was a personal one, too. One thing that immediately stands out is Karen's recollection of working as an extra on her dad's film sets. She talks about being on the set of The Shakiest Gun in the West and how she couldn't stop smiling, even during a scene where the crowd was supposed to look terrified. The crew ended up putting a wide-brimmed hat over her face to hide her grin. A detail I find fascinating is how this moment captures the duality of their relationship. On one hand, there's this sweet, almost childlike joy of being with her dad. On the other, there's the reality of his demanding career constantly looming in the background. It's a small moment, but it speaks volumes about the complexities of growing up in the shadow of a legend. If you take a step back and think about it, Don Knotts' story raises a deeper question. Can you ever truly balance fame and family? Karen's reflections suggest that while her father's career may have kept him physically distant at times, he was still a loving and devoted dad. Personally, I think that's the real takeaway here. Fame might come with a cost, but it doesn't have to define the relationships that matter most. What makes this really interesting is how Karen's perspective humanizes her father. She doesn't sugarcoat his absence, but she also doesn't vilify him for it. It's a nuanced view that reminds us that even the biggest stars are just people, trying to navigate life like the rest of us. So, here's my closing thought. Don Knotts' legacy isn't just about the laughs he gave us on screen, it's also about the lessons we can learn from his life off camera. Fame is fleeting, but family is forever. And sometimes, the most important moments are the ones that happen behind the scenes. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. How do you balance your passions with the people you love? Let's keep the conversation going.